FanCred, obviously the FanCred app or fancred.com, brought to you by MyBookie.ag, where you can double your deposit. And if you use the promo code FanCred and get some free money, joining me over here on Thanksgiving is Jared. Hey, Jared, how's it going, man?
What's up, Tiz? I've got some grandmother pictures behind me. Obviously, as you can tell, enjoying. Hoping everyone is having a great Thanksgiving, despite
they're not.
Despite the effort that we're watching in front of us.
They're not. It's 23-7. Bills lead the Cowboys. Cowboys could not convert with 4 downs really inside the 10-yard line. Couldn't get in the end zone. So down 16. Technically 2 scores. I kind of call that a 2.5 score game, really, because you got to get both 2-point conversions. Yeah. And 14:30 left. A lot to get to. Before we get there, a couple housekeeping notes right here. After that blown 4th down by the Cowboys, the line right now at MyBookie is Bills 10.5. Bills currently lead by 16. Now it's 10.5. So seems like it might be a good time if you wanted to go to mybookie.ag, use the promo code FanCred and double your deposit. Also, the over-under is still at 46.5. Right now, 30 points in the game. I'm not sure if 16.5 points will get scored, but just a couple house nuggets right there at mybookie.ag. Remember, the promo code is FanCred.
We're expecting a pretty high score in 4th quarter then.
Yeah, no, they really are. And there's man. So this time, Devin Singletary makes a catch out of the backfield. I was, it's weird because the Bills are a team we don't play often, right? So I was a touch more concerned about their weapons after talking to a couple Bills fans that I know, and then watching even last week's really bad game against Denver. I was like, man, they've got more guys than I really knew going in who can hurt you. And we've seen creativity. We've seen them pull out all the stops today, and we've seen the Cowboys not do that. And the Cowboys trail by 16. That's what's happening.
Hey, quickly, KT, just to kind of set a little bit of the scene here. This loss is significant beyond just a loss in the loss column, because this is another common opponent with the Eagles. And in all likelihood, if the Cowboys and the Eagles were to finish the season with the same record, then they would have the same divisional record. Yeah. In all likelihood, it could, in all likelihood that. So the next, and this is obviously with the Eagles beating the Cowboys in Philadelphia. The next tiebreaker is common opponents, and this would give Philadelphia a 2-game edge in common opponents. So this has the potential to have serious ramifications. The Jets loss and the Bills loss would essentially give the Eagles that 2-game edge. And that's why this game in particular is maybe more costly than just in a vacuum, if that makes sense.
Brutal. God, that's brutal. I'm glad you did the work on that because I did not know that on common opponents. I was just kind of looking at the tiebreaker. Now we got a 3rd and 4. We've got someone backstage, and we'll bring them on in just a second. 3rd and 4 for the Bills. And, dude, they convert. Oh, my gosh. Josh Allen's actually outplayed Dak today, which is something I can't believe I'm saying. But he just hit Robert Foster, on the crosser, and with 12:05 left, the Bills are now driving in Cowboys territory. We had someone on the fan line. If you want to join the fan line, it's in the bottom right corner. All you got to hit that, and you can. All you got to do is hit that button, and you can join Jared and I live and just react to the game like we are. If you got a question, we'd be happy to talk through it with you. Also, leave your comments in the comment box, and we'll chat with you as well. So. It's Kevin. I believe that's probably Kevin Stoll, if I know right. Kevin, he says, "What's up, KT?" Hey, Kevin. And I was going to say, "What's up to Jared right there?" He's right there, right beside me.
What's up?
We're basically on a couch together watching the game. Quickly, I mean, I think 23-7. I think the overarching story of this game, we know Maher will lose his job eventually, but can you? What would if I'm a? Let's do a percentage to make it more fun, Jared. Percentage that if this thing doesn't turn around real quickly, Jason Garrett loses his job tonight.
So the only thing that's keeping me from putting it at 50%, I'll put it at 49, is that next week they play the Bears on a Thursday, and then they've got an extra few days. And so I'll tell you this. Let me put it this way. if the Cowboys didn't play again until next Sunday, I would put it at like 60% because it would be a great time. You give whoever the interim is going to be a little extra time to get the troops ready. You still in this situation have a full week. So it's not like you're working on a short week like you were from this past Sunday to this Sunday. But I'll put it at 49%. I kind of think Jerry's had enough. And I'll say this. So on one hand, to fire a coach when you still have a chance to make the playoffs, and with how wide open the NFC is, not that the Cowboys are on any 5 best teams in the NFC's level. All it takes is a team getting hot. It's unconventional to make a coaching change. You could also look at it the other way and say, hey, we still have a chance. Let's try change something up before it's too late. Let's try light a fire under their ass before it's too late. So I could see it either way, but I'd put it at 49%. So I'd lean likely no, but not a very strong lean. What about you?
Well, I think your reasoning is very good there. I think this one is so ugly. I don't think it'll happen tonight. I really don't. And I also don't like here locally. We all are tired of Jason. We've had enough. We've seen it. But Jerry would take some flack for firing a coach who's technically first place in his division.
Yeah,
I truly believe he would. No, I don't think that would interfere with his decision that he deems to be right. Let's be realistic here. What today's loss does is makes you have to go 4-0 down the stretch in a division that you should have already won. But this is not the nail in the coffin. It just feels like it because of the events of the last few weeks. It feels like it.
And you know what's frustrating, KT? At what point are we just kidding ourselves by talking about this team with any sort of potential to do anything? Because this will be yet another good team to whom they've lost, against whom they've lost. And this is a Bills team that hasn't beaten anyone good. I mean, and I don't mean this as a discredit to them. They've just beaten the teams that they should beat. They're doing exactly what the Cowboys – if the Cowboys did what the Bills have done, Cowboys would be golden. Just they should beat. If you look at the Bills' schedule, that's pretty much what they've done. They haven't necessarily gone out and beaten teams that might be better than them. But the Cowboys are – I mean, they're going to be 6-6 without a good win, except for maybe the Eagles. Yeah. So, I mean, who is this? Is it even fair that we talk about this? I mean, the answer to me is yes, but I guess it's fair asking, is it even fair to measure this team as a playoff team? Because how can you be a when you can't even beat a single team with a winning record?
We were the ones guilty of this, and we're on a pattern now of every other year kind of being a playoff team, you know? Let me run through some comments real quick because I think they're kind of hitting on what you're saying. Cedric says the defense needs an overhaul. They need more playmakers. I think they not only they need more playmakers, I mean, arguably every defense could use more playmakers. They need an overhaul. They need to stop playing the same scheme that they've been playing for now over 5 years because the get up the field style that they play, it's not effective anymore. People know what they're doing, and they don't do enough to mix it up, you know? So that's what's frustrating. Josh Allen throws it incomplete. It's 4th and goal now. Kevin says Maher has to go. Garrett might not go before season end, but, man, I want him out. I think Maher will be gone. I think there's a chance Maher's gone tonight. I think that could get taken care of tonight. I think that, you know, if we're playing who's who, I think Maher gets his head chopped off tonight before Jason does, personally.
What about Keith O'Quinn?
Who?
Keith O'Quinn.
I don't think they would do that during the year, man. I really don't. I mean, dude, they waited around last year with the offensive line coach when they could have just said, this isn't working, here's Colombo.
Yeah.
Like, I don't think they'll do that. They waited until a bye week when they could do that. Skip says, time to tank. Okay. That's interesting, Skip, because now I'm going to have a little fun here. I'm going to go to Tankathon. Let's kind of see where we're at right here. Right now, the Cowboys are 6-6. If they tanked out, Jared, and went 6-10, well, I'm telling you, I could probably get you in the top 16. I could probably get you in the top half of the first round of this draft.
I would hope if you're 6-10, I would hope so.
Yeah, I think that's probably, and honestly, I could maybe get you in the top 12.
If you're 6-10, you're definitely top 10, are you not?
No, probably not this year because right now you have no wins for Cincinnati. New York, Miami, and Washington all have 2 wins. Denver, Atlanta, Detroit, and Arizona all have 3 wins. So there's 8 teams right there who still have 3 wins or less. And then there's 4 teams with 4 wins or less. So that's 12 teams with 4 wins or less. So you need a lot to go your way. There's a lot of teams losing this year, Jared.
Yeah, it's just crazy to think that a 6-10 team would not be among the 12 worst in the NFL.
CE comments and says it would have to get outrageous for him to lose his job tonight. I guess my question is, isn't this outrageous though? Like, we are to the point of it being like a legit, like, I think we're to the point of it being, if not a 50-50 coin toss, like a 60-40, Jason does or doesn't get fired tonight, personally. Like, I think we're close.
Quick sidebar, KT, the Bills won 6 games last year with arguably one of the worst rosters in the NFL, and they're now about to win their 9th game. Sean McDermott deserves some love. I mean, a lot of coaches go to Buffalo to die, and we don't ever hear from them again, but I think Sean McDermott, as an aside, just from an NFL discussion, deserves a lot of credit for what he's done there, because it's not like he's been handed a golden goose by any means. Seems like he's really gotten the most out of what he has.
He took them to the playoffs 2 years ago, too, with the bad roster, if you remember that, when they were kind of running Tyrod Taylor out there every once in a while.
Yeah.
So he's a guy who's it sounds generic, but his players always play for him, and he lets the offensive guys go do it. And Dabble, or if it's DeBall, the old Alabama OC, has done a pretty good job with the weapons they have of kind of making it work. And you know what? They want to go get physical. They had their GM deserves credit. Oh my God, their draft has been great. Dawson Knox, Devin Singletary, Ed Oliver, we saw make 2 plays today.
All guys,
the right tackle, Cody Ford. I mean, they solidified the offensive line. A 5th rounder from 2 years ago, Matt Milano, has turned into one of the best linebackers in the game. Tre'Davious White's one of the best corners in the game.
You like Milano cookies?
Oh yeah, sure. I don't really know what they are.
You never heard of Milano cookies?
I've heard of them, but I don't know what they are.
I feel like I see them at the grocery store all the time.
Yeah, like I couldn't tell you specifically what they are.
Yeah.
Robert says this appears that the Cowboys have given up on Garrett. They look to be playing with no emotion. I don't think I agree with that. You look at that Cowboys last drive. I think they're just playing bad, because Cobb, Zeke, and Dak all had plays on that last drive trying to get them back in the game where they were kind of like looking at the sideline, pump up type plays. So, update here: the MyBookie line is now 14.5 with the Buffalo field goal good, 26-7. 14.5 Bills at the MyBookie.ag line.
I'd go.
I'm sorry, 15.5. 15.5 is now the line. MyBookie.ag.
I would take the Cowboys with the points on that if it was me.
All right, MyBookie.ag. The promo code Sandcrit, which Jared
double up your deposit, baby. Let's go that 2 times.
Free money on Thanksgiving. Yeah. Cowboys are about to have a 3rd and 10 coming up.
What have you seen from Dak here, KT? Because that first drive, he looked outstanding. He was everything was basically flawless. What have you seen that's changed? I'm curious your opinion.
He hasn't had time to throw, and I'm not saying that Dak's been bad. Dak hasn't been bad. Dak has been bad today. It was bad last week. Dak's been bad when defenses make it uncomfortable for him. So that's a question that you might ask about Dak moving forward. How good is Dak against the good defenses in the league?
Because this is another really good pass defense. New England was a good pass defense, but give him and we got an offsides there. It's going to set up 3rd and 5. Give Dak some credit, or give him a little bit of leniency, because great pass D, horrible conditions. I actually thought he outplayed Brady, but these conditions are fine. There's nothing adverse about these conditions, and you're going up against one of the best pass defenses in the league again. And the pressure, as you mentioned, just the whole package. He has not looked like the same quarterback that he was for back-to-back weeks, where he threw 7 touchdowns, like 1,200 yards. I mean, was it like 900 yards almost?
And the way to beat Buffalo is to run it on them, and they just weren't able to get – I mean, they were able to do it, but they got behind so fast that now it's kind of like that's not an option of your offense right now. I'm going to quick run through a few more comments real quick here, Jared. Kevin says, even if we made the playoffs, they don't want Garrett there. Skip said, let JG call the offense. James says he's out tonight. Got to be. Robert says – hold on. Dak just hit Gallup over the middle. So on the Buffalo 41, 7.5 left. Robert says if Jerry doesn't fire JG today, then it's proof that Jerry doesn't think the Cowboys can win this season. That's interesting. Let's come back to that.
Yeah, because I think you can look at it a few different ways.
Yeah, I do think that's an interesting. We are in conspiracy theory land right now, though, and I kind of think that's interesting. Cedric says the try-hard defensive scheme isn't going to work. I agree. The try-hard, we do things our way scheme is not going to work. Cedric says if management mandated Zeke drop 15 pounds for next season, do we get more explosive plays? Or is he allowed? Are they allowed in their contract to mandate a player to lose 15 pounds?
Give them incentives for losing weight, yeah.
Oh, like the old Eddie Lacy?
Yeah, you did. That was probably made a bigger deal because of Eddie Lacy being a bigger guy, but like that happens a lot. There are in a lot of sports. Your contract, as Amari Cooper was undercut there. Nothing dirty, it didn't seem, but he appears to be down.
It's the whole thing of when you can take a helmet to the shin.
Was it the knee or the shin? Either way.
Yeah, it looks like his left shin. At least that's what I was thinking. Gosh.
Okay, I think it's the knee.
Yeah, Taron Johnson. Oh, right on the knee. Right on the left knee. Oh. Yeah, and below, and he landed awkwardly, too. Amari, a guy, Jared, who has not really been worried about getting a contract. Oh, if you're the worst. We've seen some of those helmet on the knee collisions turn into significant knee injuries. As Robert says, the sad part is if we fire JG, there isn't a coach we could hire that would make a true difference this season. Well, and I think that's fair. Like, I think that your coach probably turns into Rod Marinelli, honestly. I mean, or maybe they let Rashard do it.
But let's go back.
Maybe they let Rashard do it.
Let's go back to that one comment that you wanted to bookmark, because I guess I'll quickly repeat what I said earlier. Yeah, you could look at it that way, and frankly, I wouldn't tell Jerry he's crazy, because this would be a 6-6 team that has, shown an inability to beat anyone good. But you could also look at it as, hey, we've been gifted this opportunity because this year our division sucks. We're 6-6, could be better, but we're still alive. But if we keep going on this path, there's going to be a ceiling to what we can do. And if we make a coaching change, maybe it doesn't work out, and maybe we end up crashing and burning. What's the difference between that and getting into the playoffs and losing in the wild card? Because I think if you make the move, you're admitting maybe not that this team isn't making the playoffs, but you're admitting that under Jason, if they get in the playoffs, they're only getting in because their division sucks and they're not. But you roll the dice, maybe you make a coaching change, maybe an interim is able to find something that works. Maybe it lights a fire. I don't know. But maybe that ceiling is a little higher. I don't know.
I follow you, and I follow what you're saying there. And I know you weren't having an opinion on there. You were just kind of laying some things out.
I'm just trying to present that side of it.
Yeah, exactly. But the thing is, the way we think about football changes so much. If you make the playoffs now, after this loss tonight, which is going to be a loss, if you make the playoffs now, it's because you won 4 straight games. So,
the Eagles.
The attitude's changed a little bit.
I mean, it's not necessarily. Yeah, I get what you're saying. In all likelihood, yeah.
The Eagles are going to stumble, though.
You could. Let me ask you this. I asked Sterling Daniels this question earlier today. I think in the NBA, Major League Baseball, and in the NHL, you can win a championship in spite of your coach. Now, a lot of times, great head coaches win. It's not to say that they're meaningless in those sports. But do you think you can win a Super Bowl with a coach who doesn't even give you the slightest net positive impact?
Now I want to go back and find the last time that's happened. Because I mean, Belichick wins a lot of them, and we know what he does.
Right, and you can criticize Doug Peterson this year, but everyone was praising Doug Peterson and the buttons he pushed and the analytical way he went about things a few years ago.
Oh yeah, no, absolutely. Oh, by the way, the MyBookie line is now 13.5. I would still need to keep going, and that's at mybookie.ag. The promo code's FanCred. Use it. Cowboys kind of driving. They're kind of inside the 30 now. There's 6:30 left, down by 19, so it's a 3-score game.
If they're gonna win this game, an onside kick, which they don't get converted anymore, is gonna have to be a part of this. They don't have enough time now to get 3 possessions naturally.
Yeah, they really don't. Hey, I got a good one from James here, Jared, and actually I want to talk about it after this 2nd and 10 play with 6:33 left. Amari Cooper's back in the game. That is great news.
Yeah.
Great news. Probably just one of those, probably a contusion or a bruise or something, though, as hard as that helmet hit him. Underneath, no good. 3rd and 10 coming up. James, well, real quick, James has a great question in the comment box. I want to get to that. Question here, though, Jared, a little strategy-wise. 3 scores. It's 26-7. If you don't convert on 3rd and 10 here, would you try to kick the field goal and make it 26-10 to make it a 2-score game?
Well, that's a loaded question because now you're bringing in the trust factor with Brett Maher.
Yeah. Oh, you would get killed. He would get booed and killed. But the math would tell you 3 scores.
All right, now
3 possessions.
Yeah, I mean, you are getting possession.
Now it's a 4th and 5, so I think you go ahead and go for it just because it's 4th and 5, and they're definitely going for it. After whatever happens here, I want to run something through you from.
I love when you run stuff through me.
James had a real good question. Evangelo says, "Happy Thanksgiving in the spirit of giving. How about we put Garrett in the red kettle and send him to New York?" I think there's a chance that Garrett's ride home tonight is in that big Salvation Army red kettle. Dak strip sack, recovered by Tyron. Buffalo's going to get the ball. Dak held onto the ball for about an hour and a half.
Yeah.
Bill's owner just up there high-fiving everyone, knowing that it's over. Jason's clapping.
Terry Pagula, I think, if I'm not mistaken.
So bad, man. So bad. James said, so the Bills get the ball, 5 minutes left, 5:50 left, 26-7. James says, let's assume the worst. Cowboys lose this. Check. Eagles catch us, and we don't make the playoffs. That would mean that you either lose another game. That would mean that you didn't go 4-0 on the way out. That's basically how that would happen. What does that do for Amari, Dak, and the other contract guys? More or less likely that they come back?
So that's a great question. One, I'll tell you that this has been now for a few weeks. I've said, and Cowboys aren't making the playoffs. I've kind of, I don't know, unwillingly or without a lot of desire to do so, raise that flag. I don't think they're making the playoffs. I don't think they're going to do the things. And it started with today's game, or it didn't start with today's game, but, didn't think they were going to win today's game. I don't think it changes a whole lot because I don't think it takes away their desire to lock up Dak. And I don't think Amari's done anything. I don't think Amari's done anything this year to suggest that they can have high-level success without him. I think he's only proven his value more this year with the way the team has performed better when he's either been on the field or been healthy. But do you see them letting Dak walk?
No, not at all. I think they'll franchise him.
Okay, so you think that's where the difference is, that long-term versus franchise?
I think the problem is, personally, what I would do is I would sign Dak. I would franchise Robert Quinn, and then I would see if Byron Jones wants to come back on a somewhat friendly deal.
You don't have any fear, sometimes in sports when you've got a guy who's on the verge of becoming a free agent, you fear losing him. You don't have any fear that if Byron Jones went elsewhere that you'd rue the day that you let Byron Jones leave.
I mean, I might have to go draft a cornerback, right?
Sure, but you're not like, we just gave up on a game-changing type player.
I think I'd be more worried about the pass rush than that, right?
Yep, no, I agree.
Because and it doesn't have to be this way, but if it is either or with Byron and Robert Quinn for 1 year, don't you bring back Robert Quinn?
Absolutely.
I think you have to have him. Where would they be without him right now? They may have a losing record without Robert Quinn.
Yeah, he's been out.
So, but, another thing is maybe they go a different direction on defense too. Maybe they blow it up and go to a 3-4 or something like that.
All right, so I want to do this. Can I throw a question out there? I'm giving you a chance to be optimistic. So I'm asking this as the guy who doesn't think they're making the playoffs. This I don't know that this feels like rock bottom, because I think the Jets loss was that gave you pits, but this feels like things are bad and they're going in a direction that's that you just can't recover from, right? That's what the thought is. But as you said, you're still going to be in first place in the division. And I wonder, there have been teams who this late in the season have not given you warm and fuzzy feelings, and then they use the final stretch of the regular season as a run in the playoffs, and they get hot and they roll through. With what you've seen from this team, how would you characterize the possibility that this game is the punch in the nuts and just are righted and they go on a run in what is a wide open NFC the rest of the way? Is there still hope or possibility for that? I'm clearly asking as someone who doesn't believe that's the case, but I want to see if you've got something on the other side of that fence.
Thursday night in Chicago in the cold. Chicago's a beatable team.
Absolutely.
But do I think they win? I don't think they win.
Are they favored?
I'm not sure yet. But I mean, we saw the Bears slap it around with the Lions today. Yeah. So who knows, man? You throw weather into it. How they respond from this will be huge because that's getting your ass kicked straight up. Then, though, there's a couple other things, though. The Rams after that, the Rams have looked like garbage, man, but I don't think the Rams are just going to roll over and die, just like I don't think the Bears are just going to roll over and die.
Yeah, I don't think the Rams.
And I don't think the Cowboys are going to roll over and die, but, man, they're the only team out of those three that has a lame duck head coach. Like, everyone in that locker room knows that Jason's gone. They all know it. Those guys aren't dumb. They know it's over with him. But, I don't put it – after they beat the Eagles, and as bad as the Eagles have looked, after they beat the Eagles by 27, I mean, I think they can go beat the Eagles. And then I think they, Giants or Redskins, Redskins in week 17. I think you got that. But, it's just Jason, man. This is 8-8. This is 8-8 all over again. It's what it is. No matter how you get there. It's very 8-8. And honestly, 9-7 doesn't get you in this year. You got to be 10-6.
You think so?
They were 9-7 before, missed the playoffs.
You think you definitely have to? Because I think you can be 9-7 as long as you beat the Eagles.
I don't think you can lose another game.
Okay, so right now they have the same record. If they beat the Eagles, they're a game up on the Eagles. And then if the Cowboys lose another game, they'll have the same record and the Eagles win their remaining games. They'll have the same. Let's say the Eagles. Okay, let's play it out this way. The Eagles win out except for the Cowboys. The Cowboys lose a non-Eagles game. They'll have the same record, but the Cowboys will have the tie break because they'll have won both games against the Eagles. Does that make sense?
Okay, but yes.
So
I follow you.
You have to beat the Eagles. But you can lose one more game as long as you beat the Eagles.
So we agree that the Eagles, though, don't lose any games besides maybe the Cowboy game?
I agree. It at this point looks highly unlikely unless they pull a Cowboys-Jets and have one of their own, duck farts like that. But that's how that game would be characterized. They don't have a game where you're like, other than the Cowboys game, you're like, man, that this is a travesty that they lost that game.
They have 4 cupcakes.
Yeah, they got the Giants twice, the Redskins, and the Dolphins, in addition to the Cowboys. But do you get what I'm saying? So let's say that the Eagles win every game except for the Cowboys, and let's just say the Cowboys lose to the Bears but win out. They still make the playoffs.
Yeah. Cedric says the defense needs to invest in a one-technique defensive tackle. I agree, man. I know those guys don't play 3 downs typically, but I would love to see them draft a big fatty at 350 in a 3rd or 4th round because those guys are available. Those guys slide in the draft every year. Those big fatties do because they don't play all 3 downs most of the time. Kevin says you two should replace Buck and Aikman. This is far more entertaining. Very, very appreciative of that, Kevin. Robert says Cowboys should ask Aikman to head coach with the slogan "Make the Cowboys Great Again." Skip said the offensive line is retiring or leaving. Cedric says, guys, I hate to say.
I got kind of.
Well, Cedric says Tyron is washed on that note.
Can I ask you 2 questions?
Yeah.
before the year, I think a lot of people were fearing the departure of Chris Richard and would have loved if Jason or Jerry Jones came out and said Chris Richard is the successor to Jason Garrett, right? There was a lot of people drinking the Chris Richard Kool-Aid. Has this year, part one of this question, has this year changed that for you? Do you have a different view of Chris Richard? Because it's not like this defense has been anything to write home about. And then the second part of it, from a certain someone on the Twitterverse today about Jason Witten being the head coach next year. I'm curious your thoughts on the prospects of Jason Witten being the head coach of the Cowboys next year.
Okay. First of all, let's cover the Jason thing first. I think Witten's going to get into coaching. I think Witten back in 2016 dropped the old man bit. There's Ventel Bryant with a touchdown, Jared. Breaking news. Cowboys score. Ventel Bryant. So it's 26-13. Garrett holds
Ventel, Antonio, and Dez rank your Bryants.
Dez, Antonio, Ventel.
In terms of like favorites?
Oh, yeah, but can I throw in Matt Bryant of the Falcons from back in the day?
Okay, yeah.
I do think Jason Witten dropped the old man bit back in 2016 when the new blood came into the locker room. I think I would have no problem with him being a tight ends coach. But I thought guys like John Kitna are more worthy of being an OC than Jason is.
Yeah.
Jason is head coach already? Boy, that's a ballsy move, man.
It'd be a very baseball-esque move where, they bring in Eric Cora guys with very limited experience, Carlos Beltran. But, yeah, I don't know.
That's nerve-wracking to me.
Yeah. I'm asking merely from seeing that, someone suggests this. But, all right, what about Chris Richard? I mean, if Jason Garrett gets fired, how pumped would you be if they came out and said Chris Richard's our new coach after their search?
I like Chris Richard. I've never been one of those guys who think he's the next god in waiting.
Yeah.
I would rather Kellen have more control of things than Chris Richard. Chris Richard – well, why couldn't Kellen maybe Kellen doesn't want to be a head coach, or maybe he does. I don't know. But why with Chris Richard, or people forgot that he was asked to leave Seattle. Seattle didn't want him around anymore. Not because he's a bad guy. They thought his message ran dry because he wore on people. I would equate it to Banny a little bit in a way, Banny was needed for a couple of years, but after a while, that hardcore, intense message at all times just wears on people,
Yeah.
So that's kind of where I'm at on that. If you want to join us, you can hit the fan line at the bottom right corner. Evangelo says that the forecast in Chicago on Thursday night is 35 with clear skies and Dallas -3 already. So that's interesting. And Cedric has Ventel Bryant better than Devin Smith. I think Devin Smith's inactive again, and he's been hurt. Devin Smith is a bit player. Devin Smith is not ready to go play 16 games for any NFL roster, and probably will never do that. He's your just kind of, cheap guy. He's fast. He can do a few things for you, but he's kind of cheap. So it's 26-15. Buffalo leads. 4 minutes left. Frank Gore is made it a 2nd and 6. And it'll be interesting. I mean, the Cowboys are out of timeout, so there's not really a lot they can do besides a fumble. A fumble could make things interesting, as they couldn't get the onside kick. So it'd be tough to get this thing going. And we could be looking at the last 3 minutes and 40 seconds of Jason Garrett's head coaching career. What did you think about the theory last week that Jerry might have been pissed that possibly Jason Garrett's side was leaking out the New York Giants rumor? Yeah.
Listen, I'll say this. Jerry's the type of guy, he likes to control the narrative. He likes to be the one who gets to move the chess pieces around with the media. He doesn't like when someone underneath him is doing that. And their level of production determines the degree to which he'll tolerate it. But my guess is that he was none too pleased. Now, how that impacts his train of thought with stuff, I don't know. But I'm sure he wasn't too thrilled about that.
Whether that was Jason's side or not who leaked that information, it's very credible. Jason has a career in New York. I wouldn't be surprised if Jason got another head coaching job. I really wouldn't. I mean,
no, and here's the thing. I'll say this, KT. I mean, we're sitting here. I think Jason has done a horrible job of keeping up with the times, and he obviously has not had playoffs. He was a Des Bryant catch away from maybe having a totally different narrative. But if you really and truthfully take a step back, Jason Garrett's had his tenure has not been a failure. I mean, he's had a lot more success than 8% of NFL head coaches. He would unquestionably get another head coaching job. It just has gotten to the point where he's reached his ceiling here, it appears, and we're all banging our heads against the ceiling trying to go higher and higher, if that makes sense. But I don't think he's been this abject failure by any means.
No, it's like he's it's not like he's some untouchable guy because he's a bad head coach. He's just not a good head coach.
Right.
And, when you haven't – I mean, we always do talk about, they haven't won in 25 years or whatever, but, in general, any franchise is not going to be that patient. They've been way more patient with him. I think that's another thing Jerry's mad at. Jerry's sitting there going, I have my nuts on the line for getting your back and leaving you around. And Jason might be going on the other side, and that's why something could get leaked out. Jason on the other side could be going, you lame ducked me, dude. So you should have done that. You should have given me a contract extension. I've won games for you. Wouldn't be surprised.
And I'd say this, I don't think Jason's a good coach right now. I think over the course of Jason's tenure, when he first started, I think he actually probably was a better coach because the league wasn't as progressive as it is now. At this point, not a good coach because the league has surpassed him and he's been unwilling to keep up with the rest of the league. And I think some of the
I need my head.
Oh, go ahead.
I'm sorry, I got excited there. I need my head coach to make a difference in the game for the better to my team.
Absolutely. And he doesn't do that.
We're gone are the days of a guy who just flatlining as a coach.
Right.
Now the good coaches who are around make adjustments. They do things,
Yeah.
He's the guy who goes to the podium and says, we don't really like in-game analytics. Yeah. Like, what? Okay. Yeah. Kevin in Dallas is on the fan line. We'll welcome Kevin in to join us and see what's going on. We'll wait on that. As it's 26:15, we've hit the 2-minute warning, and the Bills will now be kind of running out the clock.
How's it going?
Possibly running out the clock on the Cowboys on Jason Garrett's job. Hey, Kevin, what's going on, man? How you doing?
Hey, not too much. So, seen over this last week is some terrible kicking. We saw it in the Carolina game. Yeah. We saw it in a lot of different games over this. And I'm just wondering, if you get rid of Maher, there are teams that are struggling for kickers. Chicago brought in like 18 of them, right?
Yeah, luckily Eddie Pinero had a good day today. But, yeah, no, there's a bunch of teams who could, use someone.
Are you really going to get out there and find a kicker better than Maher? Like, Maher's great from long range, but where's the field goals you really need?
I mean, it would be more of a thing to, lift up the spirits of the locker room because those guys are tired of him leaving points on the field. Mm-hmm. I mean, but you look at it, the Patriots have Nick Folk as their kicker right now. I don't think Nick Folk is a good kicker anymore. Mm-hmm. So it's it is very interesting. The Colts hit with Adam Vinatieri are going through issues. Yeah. So there's a lot going on there. But I think sometimes, especially with a guy like a kicker who is always fighting for respect anyways, I think it might be a thing where you go, you know what, let's just bring someone in off the streets. We have to get this guy out of here. Now, I say that without knowing what Maher's contract looks like. They may not want to eat up $600,000 or whatever it is just for 4 games. And, but I think you bring up a good point. I mean, seems to me like it'd be a pretty good night to go ahead and kick Maher to the curb. I mean, if he made 2 of his field goals, obviously the game flow is a little different than what it is right now, but you probably feel like this game is maybe a 2-score game, maybe a 1-score game, possibly if he makes the field goals that he was supposed to make. Who knows? You make that field goal at halftime and it's 13-10, you're trailing. Maybe things are a little different there. Hey, I got a couple comments here, Jared. Thank you, Kevin, for popping on.
Appreciate it, Kevin.
Again, all this brought to you by MyBookie.ag, promo code FANCRED, where they will double your deposit. Robert says, is there any reality where you see Romo, Witten, or any other former Cowboys superstar being coach? I see Romo being a coach at some point, and I see Witten being a coach.
You think you see Romo as a head coach in the NFL?
I think if he wanted to do it, a team would hire him as a head coach, yeah.
Do you think
he's not for everyone?
Do you think? Well, let me ask you this: he would probably take a pay cut and would have to work way harder. Do you think he'd be in on that?
Yes, later on once his kids are gone and he's done with
Okay.
golf.
So we're talking further down the road.
But Witten, dude, I could see Witten.
I
can see Witten coaching next year. I personally disagree with him getting like a head coach job. And I'm the guy who was like all about Cliff Kingsbury getting an NFL job despite minimal college success. I just think when it comes to the structure of things, you know where Garrett would be great? Garrett's your great structure guy. If he wanted to stay around as like a quality control guy and like schedule training camp for me, like, okay.
How funny? Hey, how funny would it be? Let's say Romo's the head coach next year, and we know how it all played out with Garrett sticking with Dak, and Romo reaches out to Garrett's like, hey, like, Jason, I'm sorry, but if you'd like to stay on staff as my, quality control assistant, I'd love to have you. Think you'd be great.
Jerry is leaving. Jerry is leaving the booth. So is Stephen Jones. Jerry is pissed. This is going to get pretty explosive tonight. I mean, would he possibly not talk to the media to avoid it?
Yes. And I would advise that Jerry not talk to the media because I don't know what sort of benefit you can get.
The times that we've really seen it bad is when he didn't talk to the media. I know last week was bad, but last week needed to happen. MyBookie line currently at 14.5 right now in an 11-point game.
Take the under, or take the Cowboys.
Cedric says, "Let's be honest. Jason's failure is largely his fault, but this organization did him no favors." I kind of disagree, man. They gave him a really good quarterback at the end of his career, and the organization drafted him what's turned into a really good quarterback in Dak. And like Jason was not like, I don't know how Jason personally evaluated Dak, but if Jason really wanted Dak, they would have taken him in the 3rd round, not the 4th round. Like they would have taken him over Malik Collins or Charles Tapper if they really liked him, Oh, that's fascinating though, man. The odds say Urban Meyer. Pretty much against that, but like,
hey,
they're going to try to get Lincoln Riley. Keep in mind that Lincoln Riley was one of the 3, and there might have been more, but one of the 3 that I know of who offered, John Stephen Jones an opportunity at Oklahoma. Kingsbury was one at Tech, and then Chad Morris of SMU over at Arkansas. So Stephen Jones and Lincoln Riley have a relationship. I know that for a fact. So that comes down to what does Lincoln Riley want to do as a person and all that stuff. That's the guy. Go spend the money and get your guy right there. Would you be down with that?
Yes, I would be.
Keep Kellen to do whatever Kellen wants to do, or Kellen can go look for other opportunities. I want Kitna to stay and be the quarterback coach. I don't necessarily need to unnecessarily elevate him. I don't have to do that. Kitna's got more head coach experience than Kellen does, for being honest. I know that's weird to throw out. Would they hire Kitna? Are they comfortable with Kitna? I don't think they would do that. I don't think that would be a sexy hire. Urban Meyer, I think, would get everyone's attention, but I'm not a huge fan of that. But that is the game, man. Bills win 26-15 in a very convincing fashion. They go to 9-3. Cowboys go to 6-6 and have the Bears next Thursday night. Jared, good Lord. A lot of good comments coming in. I want to thank everyone who popped on with us today. Robert, Kevin, Evangelos, Skip, Cedric, CE. We've had plenty of people jump in. I'm sorry if I missed anyone there, but lots of good people who check in with us every single week. And Jared and I will be back next Thursday night. There's a lot to talk about. You're looking at the NFC playoff picture. You're going to get, Ravens and 49ers noon game on Sunday is very interesting. Cowboys and Eagles, man, you've laid it out a few of those scenarios. What do you say? Let's leave it with your closing thoughts, and also now that we know the result there, percentage that Jason Garrett loses his job over the next couple days.
Well, I think it happens immediately. I think it either happens within the next 24 hours or it doesn't happen. And I say that it's 49%. If they lose to the Bears, I bump that up to 89%.
I don't think they're going to fire him. He's 6-6, first place in the division. You want to get people's attention, though. That's about the most pissed off I've ever seen Jerry. I will say 45% Jason is fired, but the fact that we're there is a story, right? Like, that's how high we are, 45%. I can't wait to hear and see it, find out if Jerry talks to the media. I cannot wait. 6-6 in division leader. What a garbage fire. Truly is. Thanks, Kevin, for the comment. That's Jared Sandler right there. Follow him at Jared Sandler. He's got a lot of cool stuff going on. And make sure that you join us next Thursday night because we've got the Bears, and we're going to do it again on Thursday Night Football. A game in the cold, a game on the road, a game where you could probably see it. It feels like right now you could see a result similar to what happened tonight, but I think what Jerry says to the media, if he talks to the media, is about to be a huge story because this might be it. Jason may not make it home. I know on Thanksgiving night he does not want to do that to Jason, but maybe tomorrow it's Black Friday for Jason. He's gone and he goes shopping.
What do you think Jason's like who's shopping? All right, honey, we gotta worry about all areas of the shore here. We gotta make sure that we get it starts with a great grocery cart. We got to have a great shopping cart, make sure the wheels are working. Let's make sure we check out all the deals, have your shopper's card ready. You got your coupon book. All right, let's, it's all a process. It's all a process.
I need to see are there any good deals on apricots? I like apricots. I forget his wife's name. She's got a
Brill.
Interesting name. I forget what it is. Doesn't matter.
Brill.
Let's just get out of here.
Brill. Did you not hear me say Brill?
Brill. It is Brill. I'm sorry. I thought you said real.
No, Brill.
Brill. Yeah, Brill. That's kind of cool, man.
You name Jason. Daughter Brill. Or son. I mean, is Brill even a woman? I mean, like, could that be a guy's name?
Sure. If you want it to be. I mean, Jared, these days, gender doesn't matter.
I'm going to name my kid Gender. Gender Sandler.
Gender Sandler. I think you should name your kid Adam, just for fun. It'd be fun, right?
I think I should. Let's do it. Will you? Yeah. Adam Sandler, then Kevin Tizzle Turner.
False. All right, let's get out of here. That sucked, man. 6-6. Wait, hold on. I got a comment here, Jared. Jake Pickle, a longtime Texas senator, was married to a woman named Brill. True story. So her name was Brill Pickle.
Hey, can I tell you a quick?
Barrel. He said barrel.
Barrel Pickle.
Barrel. So Barrel Pickle.
Hey, so I broadcast this high school basketball tournament yesterday. There was a guy on one of the teams named Dasani Coffee. So like Dasani Water. His last name was Coffee, so his full name was Dasani Coffee. I thought that's
a great name.
Yeah.
Was Aquafina there?
Yeah. That would have been funny if the tournament was sponsored by Aquafina. I'm sure they would have.
That's enough sports talk for tonight and, quite frankly, the rest of the weekend. We'll see you Thursday night back here on FanCred. Remember, game actions tonight, action tonight, Saints, Falcons, and then a huge slate of games on Sunday, including Ravens 49ers. So get a little action over at MyBookie.ag if you'd like on some of these games. The promo code is FanCred, where they will double your deposit. So $200 you put in, you get $400. Promo code FanCred at MyBookie.ag. For Jared Sandler, I'm Kevin Turner at KT Fun Tweets. Please say hey to me. And we'll talk to you next Thursday night. The game will be live at Soldier Field. Jared and I will be, at our residence. Jared's going to show off his Hallelujah shirt. Don't go any lower, sir. I said don't go any lower. Jesus. Goodbye, everyone.
Bye.
Go Cowboys, and prayers to Brill.